This is Matt Kovacic with Dirt Track Central. We're here at the IMCA Super Nationals, talking with Paul here at with the Ryan Baird Safety Foundation. As you just saw, he got me into a simulator, and
you did a great job.
we had fun. A little tight for a big boy, but we made her work, and I don't think I even skinned my knee. Paul, why don't you tell us a little bit about your company and your goals here?
Well, I started doing this 5 years ago when Ryan Baird died in Abilene at a race when his car rolled over and the fuel cap came off and the car erupted in a ball of flames, and he wound up perishing in those flames. And Ryan Baird was 23 years old and just about to be married to my daughter, and that was a pretty earth-shaking event for a lot of families. And in the aftermath, I just felt like I needed to do something better. Get a little bit more emphasis on the safety side of the sport, and also try to keep Ryan's death meaningful. I didn't want just another dead person out there. He needed to stand for something. He was a sweetheart. Miss him every day. But the whole idea now, I'm just focusing on the future. It's too late for Ryan, but it's not too late for other drivers. So I travel with the simulator all over the Southwest. I try to put drivers in there. I've had car builders look at it. I've had car builders get in it, and that's extremely valuable to me because car design has a lot to do with the proper exit of a car, and I get a lot of funny looks and people coming over and go, "What is that thing?" And it's a little hard to explain, but you were willing to try it, and now you see why I do what I do. And there's a sequence to getting out of a car, and human nature has to be overcome, because human nature would say that you'd yank your belts and try to crawl out, but I think you would find that you'd be hung up on the steering wheel. So I teach them to take the steering wheel off first, drop the window net. We talk about fire suits, we talk about helmets, fuel cell flappers, all sorts of things.
Well, I certainly appreciate you giving me a little heads up on the correct way to do that. I probably would have struggled, and obviously it was fresh in my mind as to the correct way to do it, and I think that helped obviously with my quick exit, or at least as quick as it can be. But
you were fast. you were really fast, especially for a big guy. But you'd really be surprised. I told you about it, you remembered it, but probably I'd say at least 25% of the people that I get in there, because it's so disorienting after I shake you up so hard, actually forget. They don't remember what the sequence was, so they'll get everything kind of screwed up, and I get everybody out, but now they get to see. Sometimes the belts will hang up, they won't release properly, and that can dang sure happen in a race car. And it's everything. I try to do everything that can happen to them. If the belts hang up, well, they could hang up for you. If you forget the steering wheel, well, you could forget the steering wheel in your car. So I try to get past that and just get it ingrained in their minds so that it's second nature. It's second nature now, instead of what was it I was supposed to do again? Yeah.
Right. You mentioned the car builders, and in an industry where we're all trying to get that tenth of a second or whatever, the emphasis is always, how do I make my car go faster?
Right.
And it takes guys like you reminding the car builders and the racers that above all, I want a safe race car, and a safe race car can be a fast race car just like any of them. But if you buy one with safety in mind first, that's.
I don't think that increasing the window opening by a couple inches is going to slowly have that big an impact on a dirt track. I don't think it's going to have that big a. I mean, they're not incredibly aerodynamic as it is. They may look it, but I think increasing the size of that window opening for bigger people really wouldn't hurt too much. And I think some of the smarter guys are doing it. People that are actually conscious of it. But I know I've had a lot of phone calls. The next day after a race, I'll get a call from a fella who's rolled, that has graduated from the machine, and thanking me for it. And he knew exactly what to do. He didn't leak any fuel out of his cell. Everything was fine, and that's exactly it. For me, the best news really is absolutely no news. it's hard to gauge how much good we're doing, but I think we are because I'm hearing less and less news. So I've put on a lot of miles and been to a lot of shows. I speak at chassis seminars. Anybody that'll have me, I'll get in there and yak.
Now, these fuel flappers to us are fairly new invention. Were they around before Ryan's accident?
They are a direct result of Ryan's accident.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, they decided they needed to do something after Ryan died, and manufacturers had to scramble because IMCA mandated them. I don't know if other sanctioning bodies do, but I know IMCA mandates them, and that's actually kind of a problem too. Is a lot of drivers will have them in their cars, but they're all worn out and flopping and hanging, and they're legal. They meet the minimum, but they're not. It's just not. It's not going to work for you. So I try to talk to them a little bit about that, show them some improvements we've made, and discourage them from using those big 4-inch fuel caps. I have no idea why you need a 4-inch fuel cap on a fuel cell. I have no idea. You stick a funnel in it anyway. So why we need a 4-inch opening, I'll never know. So I hope they outlaw those. Frankly, I'm pushing for them to. But a lot of guys still have them.
Certainly. There's. I don't know. Like you said, I don't know what other sanctioning bodies are doing. I'd never witnessed a deal like that before. But we went down to a non-sanctioned racetrack earlier this summer, and one of the little kind of pony stocks flipped, and it was like an under 14 years old class, which, I'm sure when parents are putting their kids in a little car like that, they're fairly cautious with safety, but still, like we talked before, it seems like in general the less expensive the class, the less safe the cars are just because of probably financially for the drivers. I mean, safety equipment isn't cheap, although it's necessary, but we didn't, as a fan, we didn't see him get the kid out of the car, and they dumped the car over, and it burst into flames because the fuel had been leaking. And I'd never seen that before. And of course, the grandstands, they had parked a fire truck where we couldn't see the opening of the car, so we thought the kid was in there, and everybody's, of course, worried. And apparently they had gotten the kid out of the car before they flipped it, but still, a lot of this even is education to the safety crew that, if you had fuel leak out of the car, don't just dump the thing over. Use a winch truck and set it down nice and easy.
There are so many layers to that onion. You're right. I work with safety crews. I'll talk with safety crews as much as I can. I'll try to get them to train on this, but we're seeing a lot more foam available now. But there's still a lot of these little podunk tracks that it ain't going to happen here. Everything's good. We've been racing this way for 20 years. Everything's good, but until it's not.
Right.
And then it's a problem. But I think we've elevated the awareness. I see a lot more foam available on fire trucks. I see a lot more fire extinguishers out now. And, just like Dale Earnhardt, there's blood on every improvement. And I'm really glad that kid got out before that car burst into flames. And let me touch on that real quick. We were talking about lower priced cars and kids. You think about a little family budget, and they want to get their kid racing, and they can't afford a lot of stuff. Well, usually some of the stuff, frankly, that they sacrifice is like the fire suit, because the kid's growing.
Right.
They don't want to go spend $1,000 on a fire suit that he's going to outgrow next year. So they kind of get cheaper stuff, which is exactly the worst thing to happen for a class like that, which you've got kid drivers. They don't have the right reflexes. They don't have any experience. They've got less than superior equipment, and now we're putting them even at greater risk because we can't really afford to put them in a good suit.
We buy the cheapest one, maybe even a used one off of the internet or something. And I had a friend back home that he said that he wanted to get his son in a hobby stock, but he said he's just growing too darn fast. He said, I'm not going to put my son in a car until I can have a LaJoy seat under his butt, and I can't justify spending the money this year and doing it again next year. He said, I think that his growth will plane off next year and we'll be able to get him in a car. And they did. He'd race karts and some other things, but he said, I'm not putting him in that fast of a car until we can have him safe. really had to commend the guy on that. That's the
You
first
bet.
time I'd ever heard that,
You
seen
don't
that.
hear that very often. That's a fact. Yeah. Usually you can afford to do it. You're going to get somebody in there and get them going. But
Right.
yeah, I love this sport. I don't want to discourage it. I want to encourage it, but I also want to raise the awareness of some basic things you can do. I'm not the guy writing the check for the $1,000 fire suit, but I do write myself a pretty fair share of checks traveling with this thing.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Well, while we're on the subject of money, do you have some sponsors you'd like to thank for helping you get around the country and get the word out?
Well, probably the biggest. God, I have so much help. I have so much help. There's no way I could. I'm here alone, but I mean, there's so many people behind me. Williams Energy, the company I work for, has given me a pretty good chunk of change over the years, and it's a pipeline company that's very big on safety. So having one of their employees involved with something like this is pretty big time for them too. They're pretty tickled. We got in Dirt Modified magazine. It got like 6 pages in there, so they got some exposure and I got some exposure, but you know, the checks aren't rolling in. But yeah, Mike Hamilton at XL Concrete, even Brett and IMCA, they invited me to come. They comped my way in here. So you know, I got good exposure to the biggest dirt event around. You know, so looks like LaJoy might be getting on board. Smiley's has been a big help over the years, but the website where I am, Racing with Neil, is I can't thank Neil Palmer enough. That is one of the true gentlemen of the sport. He does nothing but the positive side. He loves the focus on family side of racing, and you know, you got the whole family here. You got the kids. You know, you're cooking, you're eating, you're all together. And Neil Palmer is very encouraging. He supports what I do. He allows me to share his website, and he's one of the best guys in my corner ever.
Well, it's certainly a heart-wrenching story, and we're happy to spend some time with you today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us try it out, and that'll make a fun video for us that hopefully be something that we can help get your name out there and raise the awareness. And
my pleasure. You know, it's the Ryan Bard Safety Foundation. You can Google it. I'm on Racing with Neil, and they're able, if there's an interest somewhere, just all they have to do is contact me, and I'll do everything I can to show up where I'm needed. I want to go where I'm wanted. I don't want to just show up at a track and go, hey, you know, let's talk safety. Right. If there's an interest, I'll make every effort to come.
All right. Well, Paul, appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Again, Matt Kovacic here, IMCA Super Nationals, Dirt Track Central.
Take it easy. Take it easy.